I just want to go through some of the events that have happened this past year. I will publish a report that I'm just going to highlight from. I'm not going to read it to you verbatim, but I'll email that to all the members. And we'll also put it in our newsletter, which will now be September because we don't publish a newsletter over the summer. So anyway, the time period that we're talking about is last May 1st through today. The most notable event, of course, was the gala event that we had to celebrate our 50th anniversary back in September. Many thanks to board members Grace Clear and Nancy Potter who organized that. We had a great time, a dinner dance, and we also raised $8,100 for our 50th anniversary fund. So that was very successful. And also we were fortunate to have a fair number of our still living charter members being those that were members when they were founded back in 1973. So that was a great opportunity to celebrate with them. So we were pleased to be able to recognize them as well. Since the time period is covering May 1st, this event just made it in to kind of put a bow around the 2022 activities. They did dedicate the plaque celebrating the 100th anniversary of the bridge on May 1st last year. Those of you who walked across the bridge have probably seen it. We have the Historical Society logo on it. We were recognized as helping plan those events, and many thanks to Elizabeth Boucher and Marilyn Comrie, who did a lot of the planning and organizing for the events that happened that year to celebrate the bridge. So that plaque is there and presumably going to be there forever, so it's nice to have the Historical Society recognized. We had our annual Portersville Academy Open House on June 10th. We featured three of Mystic artists, photographers, Everett Schofield, George Tingley, and Josephine Dickinson. And by the way, we're also having another open house on Connecticut Open House Day, which this year is June 8th. That's just 2 weeks away. And once again, we'll be highlighting different photographs that we have, specifically on the road construction in front of the Union Baptist Church that is also 100 years ago now. In October, we had an exhibit largely due to life member Jonathan Sproul of the Mystic Art Colony. We were able to feature different paintings and photographs that he had in his collection that we were able to display back in October at the open house we had at Portersville Academy. We did plan to have a walking tour, which Betsy had spent a long time putting together, to go through some of the local streets where the art colony artists lived and worked. It rained, so we didn't have it, so we're hoping to do that maybe next fall. This is our final talk of the 2023-24 season. We had 6 talks, and I won't list them all, but they were all well attended, and as is this tonight. On March, we walked in the Mystic Irish Parade. This was the second time we did it. And our thanks go to Larry Earhart, who provided a 1959 Plymouth Sport Fury. And I think that got more comments than those of us who were walking.
Remember that choir is there.
Back in April, on April 27th, we had our Helen Clark walking tour. We had over 20 people participate, and that went very well. We've published our 5 newsletters, as we always do, but this past year, thanks to board member Lynn Schroeder, every one of those newsletters kind of had an article that she wrote after doing research on what was happening in each of the different decades, over the 5 decades that we had in the Historical Society time period. So many thanks to that. We're losing several people to our board, and I just want to recognize them. Stephanie Thorpe is stepping down. She's a longtime member. Most recently, she's been chairing the IT committee, which, quite frankly, is a committee of one. Well, I guess we got to count Barry, her husband, who did a lot of the committee too. And John Parry, he's been our membership chair, and he's also helped address and mail the newsletters, which I greatly appreciate. We have Robert Boris is going to be stepping into John's shoes as far as membership goes. And Chris Johnson is going to be taking over as the IT chair. So I want to thank those people, Stephanie and John, very much. And we're also losing Barry, even though he hasn't been a board member for a while. I didn't realize this, but he's been doing IT stuff for decades and working behind the scenes, and very much an unsung hero, and appreciate him doing it. When I joined the board, he was our treasurer, but he's kind of been in the background, but he also is stepping down, so my thanks to all three of them. At the end of this meeting, Elizabeth Boucher, Grace Clear, and Marilyn Comrie, and Lynn Schroeder are up for re-election. And I strongly urge you to re-elect them. The Board of Trustees, we met our usual 9 times this year. We've reactivated recently several committees that have been kind of dormant. A long-range planning committee, a finance committee, and building and grounds. The long-range planning committee is looking at how we might use Bordersville Academy with the goal of trying to use it year-round and maybe ultimately have our archives back in there. When we were first founded 50 years ago, that's kind of the building we were using, but it didn't have the climate control, which is why we built Downs Building. That's getting pretty tight now. Anyway, we're trying to figure out how best to use those facilities. Robert Boris has actually engaged the help of an architect who's going to take a look at what we might do. So we're kind of excited about that. Marilyn Comrie is chairing that committee, and Lynn Schroeder is chairing the Building and Grounds Committee. And she hopped right to it, and we had an inspector up there, and he's identified all the things we have to worry about. And we'll take care of those. What else? We've continued, as always, our main mission in life is to, collect information, archive it, and publicize it, make it available to the public about the history of Mystic. And Elizabeth Boucher, Betsy, our curatorial manager, has done a great job doing that. And I won't list the items that we've added to our collections this past year, but that'll be in the full report that you'll see shortly. Regarding membership, we currently have 311 memberships. That's not people, because some memberships are individual, some are family, which are more than one person. But anyway, I'm pleased to report that, because last year we had only 299. Which isn't a bad number, but it's nice to know we're growing. And we did welcome 25 new memberships this past year, in the past 12 months. Regarding our financial situation, we are financially sound. Our calendar year is also basically our financial year that we report out on. And we completed 2023 a little over $10,000 in the black, which was nice. And that was largely the result of donations that we got for the 50th anniversary fund, as well as some other donations we got for other items. So thank you for that. Regarding this year, 2024, we're actually, on the other side, I'm projecting we'd be about $10,000 in the red. We're about $5,000 in the black at the moment, but obviously we've got years of expenses to do. But things work out, and we do have reserves so we can cover that. And speaking of money, I've got to thank those of you that are members. Your dues are really the largest source of our income, and many of you donate, and other people donate as well, and that certainly is between that and newsletter patrons as well. Without that income, we really wouldn't have a society. So thank you very much. That's the report, and there's a more detailed version of it. And like I said, I'll be emailing it to the members, and we'll publish it in our newsletter in the fall. And the next item. Pat yourselves on the back, because certainly I want to thank the board for organizing and executing a lot of the activities that I've mentioned, but without the participation of our members, we wouldn't have much of a society. So I got to admit, when I was putting the report together, I thought, gee, we did a lot this past year. So we did. Okay, with that, and I don't know whether to do this individually, but maybe just to save time, I'm going to do it as a group. I'm going to ask for everyone to, for a show of hands in favor of our slate of board members that are up for re-election. And once again, just to say a little bit, Elizabeth Boucher, Betsy is not only our curatorial manager, she's the editor of our newsletter. She does an outstanding
They
job.
stand up if they're here?
Yeah, Betsy, go ahead and stand up. And also, Grace Clare, she cannot stand up because she's in Italy. But Grace was one of the co-chairs of the gala that we had back in September, and she's been our go-between with Bag Square Books, making sure that the books that we want them to sell that are ours happens. So she's been a good add to the board. And Marilyn Connery, go ahead, Marilyn, stand up. She's been a member forever, past president. She's currently the vice president. She authored, along with Betsy, the books that you see back there on the bridge. She's largely responsible for a lot of the talks that we've had this past year. So, yeah, we'd be lost without her. So please re-elect her. And finally, Lynn Schroeder. Lynn, taking her first term, and she's been a great add. And like I mentioned, she took over the Building and Grounds Committee recently. So for those of you who are members, if I could have a show of hands for everyone in favor of them being re-elected. Okay? Anybody who doesn't want to re-elect me? Because if you do that, you've got to become a member of the board. All right, thank you. All right, done. We've completed our annual meeting. We've satisfied our bylaw requirements. Okay, before I introduce tonight's speakers, just a reminder about two other activities. On June 1st, a week from this Saturday, thanks to Nancy Potter and her husband Larry, we, the Historical Society, is co-sponsoring a hike in the Pequot Woods as part of Connecticut Hikes Day, I'm not sure what the proper term is, but I did send out an email on that. There's a link. We do ask that you register for that. But it ought to be a good day. How long is that trike, do you think?
3 miles.
Okay, how long do you think that's going to take?
Hour and a half.
Okay, all right. Wear some good shoes. You might be ready. Okay, and also on June 8th, we're going to have an open house as part of Connecticut Open House Day on June 8th, the following Saturday.